All right, y'all. Jeremiah 23 and hoods. I'm dealing with this time. I'm dealing with immigration, how it affects the country, how it affects African American neighborhoods, how it affects people, and the immigration issue and the problems in the country. I want to read one scripture. It says this. Proverbs. It says, "The wicked man craves evil, but his neighbor gets no mercy from him." And also, Proverbs says, "An unjust balance is an abomination before the Lord." Meaning, things got to be fair. And to love mercy and to love kindness would be the loving kindness and tender mercies. Is what God is about. Now, first of all, I want to say too, when I go to speak about immigration, let me give a shout out to the Latino community, Mexicans, Mexico, and everyone down at the border and coming up from South America. I want to say that, you know, God is good. And you guys, excuse me, you guys, um, first of all, the immigrants coming over the border are struggling and they are the poor. It says the rich rule over the poor and the borrower servant to the lender. But a lot of people uh, don't even care about the cry down in South America. Obviously, if they're leaving their country, these poor immigrants, it is got to be a very serious situation. And rather cartels influence them to go, tell them to go, or however it go. The thing is serious because there is poverty and there is oppression. So he that considers the poor, the Lord will bless them. So one side of the countryside, the Democrats, they believe in, man, just let them come on in. This is a country of immigrants, and guess what? They are correct. And wow, man, for them to cross over water, risk their lives, and with their kids, traveling where many have died, and being able to make that journey, and then get there and get caught and get turned away. Families divided. They already paid hell down in Mexico. Man, that is deep. It's so deep that we can't condemn it. Because if it was you or me, we would definitely be trying to get to the United States where there's a more opportunity to make a decent living for yourself. Not to mention the Mexicans and people from now this ain't just Mexico. This is going all the way down to South America, El Salvador, Guatemala, and they all trying to just come here and get their life, a better life for them and their families. And I was in a place the other day, Circus with my grandkids and family, and the bottom line, man, I was meeting a lot of Mexican families, beautiful families, and one from the hood had LA tatted. I said, man, your family beautiful. Me lit up like a Christmas tree, man. That blessed him coming from my brother. And so personally, and there's a lot of Latino gangs, even though there was conflict down in LA. And yeah, a lot of brothers got smoked by the Latino gangs. There was war, Mexican mafia waged war, and et cetera, et cetera. Some of our brothers went in there and did some dirt. They usually don't get off unless you did some dirt, man. So, in the light of that dirt that was done, once you cross them, that's it, man. They come in with an army. So, there also is Latino gangs that's hooked up with the brothers and the cartel brothers and things like that. So, they will risk their life and ride through different hoods on different people that mess with certain brothers down there. I think the Hoover gang and a couple others hooked up I ain't gonna call the sets out with other Latinos gangs, man. And not even that, but there's some brothers in the 18th Street and things like that. Let me say this. Man, after getting beat down 20 years trying to struggle to get off of crack cocaine, yeah, it came from south of the border. You know, the bottom line is, who helped me? It was not the black churches, and yes, they did help me. Let me take that back. They helped me spiritually. But it was the Latino, Mexican churches that took me in twice, fed me, clothed me. The least of one of these, my brother, and they was following the Jesus pattern, paid the rent. Not 1 year, 2 years. And then my mother is Mexican, half Mexican, half black. And they named my middle name, Donovan, after Mexican general, fought in the Alamo. So for me to just down and trash Mexican people or people from South America, man, you got me twisted. Personally, man, I just wish we had enough supply for all of them. I wish the poor could come to America and have that better life, their families. Because they all about that, man. Minus the criminal element from the cartels, man, they all about family, man. They ain't even thinking about us in a sense of harming us. They just want to make a better living for themselves. And they're poor. And you dealing with the poor, you in my hood. You in my territory now. I wish we had enough resources and jobs and everything to take care of every last one of them. And let them in our country, so what? We minister to the poor, God will bless us. Period. But where the balance is, and now we go to the checks and balances. The wall was presented on two fronts. Obama presented it. Bill Clinton. I almost said George Clinton. Bill Clinton presented it, and the wall was to stop the drugs from coming into the country through the cartels. Now, shout out to the cartels. I ain't mad at y'all, man. Hell, there's deep poverty in South America, man. And the way they feel, ain't no way out of this. So we're going to move this plant. What can I say? You know, I love y'all too, bro. I love you in a sense that I understand you're just trying to survive. So all the cartels, man, ain't got no beef with you personally, man. You know, you're trying to make it. And when a person is cornered and he got his kids looking at him, daddy, and he don't try to do the best and then money's not coming in enough to provide for his family, anybody would go into battle mode. Any American, no matter what color they are, to survival for their family. I don't condone the activity, but I understand the activity. And I do not condemn you personally for trying to survive. And now bringing it back home. The balance is, okay, when Obama, Bill Clinton, and Trump, and no, I'm not for Trump, I'm an independent. Alright, so let's get that straight. When they said a wall and immigrants were, it was first by George Clinton, Bill Clinton, not George Clinton. It's funkadelic. Bill Clinton, and then Obama followed pursuit, recognizing the criminal element and whatever was going on with the border. And thank God Obama did speak up, because inner city blacks caught the worst of the cocaine movement. And yes, cocaine, drugs come from Canada, drugs come from Florida, drugs come from airports, drugs come from checkpoints. So when that was pointed out, and I got a clip on Facebook, you can check it out, where the actually climbing the wall that you got now, they climb right over that, can scale it. The youth can scale that wall. Backpacks on with the drugs, whatever. The bottom line is they trying to survive. But now once the drugs come over the border, they come into the inner city. And back in 1980, we know Freeway Rick was a point man. And he was connected up, man. And the drugs, crack cocaine was invented. The drugs moved pound per pound, kilo. Tore up South Central, man. My hood's gone. When the money come in, messed up the whole cart. I think Dub C said that, or Ice Cube. One of them said it. But it did. And me being raised in L.A., I can witness firsthand. Yeah, it sure did. And we know where it came from. But the bottom line is in the sense of immigration. Now they've cut a deal with Mexico to get. I think we had 150,000 crossover, according to Border Patrol statistics. Around 150,000, I think last month. So now they can cut it down to 60,000. They promise, and that's cool. And the balance is, as far as the immigration, I don't want to deal with the drugs yet, but just immigration. Here's the thing, my people down in South America, you got to understand that they haven't created the jobs that can sustain the influx of people that come. And how I know? I'm from the hood, 89th and Western, Los Angeles, California, 213. Ain't no, it's good luck on finding jobs down there, especially for the felons. And I speak up for those that made mistakes. You pay for your crime, but once you do that, can we help me with some redemption, please? Big corporate doesn't hire our felons for the most part. You may get Lowe's or Home Depot, somebody, construction, and give them a shot. But for the most part, man, you axed out because you got a whole community of graduates with degrees, man. And they get the jobs, or someone else get it. You got a felon, you got to put it on there. They gonna do the background check. That's the mark of the beast, y'all. I don't care if you did your time, you marked. For the killers out there, there was a story about Cain slew his brother Abel because Abel did a sacrifice to God. He did what God wanted, and Cain gave him what he had, so he killed him. And God said, the blood talks to me from the ground. So, if you murked some people, if you haven't done it yet, don't do it, bro, because it's a mark. It's a curse that comes with it. It'd be hard to find a job. And they're going to hand you the drug, man. Look at the clips on Facebook. Look at the clips on YouTube. The bottom line is, hey, man, they give them brothers so much time. You're going to hit that slave chain, $11 a month. You ain't going to be able to provide for your family or nothing, bro. And if you ain't got a family, you ain't even going to be able to. The only way you can take care of yourself is in the penitentiary. And that's a business. But because of the lack of providing jobs, and we have black representatives that come through our hoods saying they're going to do this and say they're going to do that years and years and years from the Democratic side. We already know the Republicans ain't going to do nothing. Trump said he created jobs, but I don't know if they down in the hood. But thank God for anybody thinking of creating jobs. And Obama created jobs, and Clinton created jobs, but it didn't trickle down to the felons for the most part. They still got left with the coca that they can't grow in their backyard. That's a crisis, because we have, and California has the biggest penitentiary, most penitentiaries in anywhere in the United States except Texas. Texas comes second. Two places you cross the border, two places the drugs hit the border. They hit through Texas, they come through Cali. Now, who you think they built them penitentiaries for? That's for the coca. But instead of just shutting the coca down, such as building a wall or something to stop, you gotta stop it. Who gonna pay for it? Americans gonna pay for it. Black, white, pink, polka dot. Anybody get on that drug or anybody got a strike, you more likely gonna be tempted to sell the drugs. And when you do, and you get caught, them penitentiaries, you got a cell with your name on it. Because you got to remember, not only are you destroying the community, but you also are saying forget the collective law of one and the law of stewardship and the law of responsibility, and therefore you go into the law of sowing and reaping and the law of consequence. And man, there you have it, dude. You ain't got to preach no sermon. You ain't got to read your Bible on that. There you got. That's why things happen, and we wind up in the pen. And my thing is, at the rate of 150,000 coming in, and the lack of jobs in the, let me speak up for the African American community, that is there for the felons. Even though they create jobs, there's nothing there. Little Nipsey Hussle did better than the Democrats. He created jobs and hired felons. That never falls on the table. How are we going to restore? We talk about it, but they don't never. Where are the jobs, man? So if you a flake and you love power, you ain't really interested in them felons. Worse, you got more black brothers in the neighborhood, got more records than anywhere else. So they'll never be employed, in other words, unless we create jobs and hire them. And then you got to look at, okay, if that's the case, what can I do? You can only create jobs because they can't go nowhere else. And the cocoa job that has been created through supply and demand, that's not our job, man. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And even though my homie's trying to survive, I understand that. But bro, we can't survive at the brother's expense in the black communities. That's not fair. And when we're talking about an unjust balance, see, what would be fair is we help create jobs for Americans here, first and foremost. And then we don't mind creating jobs like you had one of the big companies, I think, shut down a plant in Detroit and opened up down in Mexico. That created jobs. But the brothers in Mexico was left stuck. And Detroit was left stuck. And worse, if they was a felon, they was stuck already. Forward, I think. You shut down the plant and you go down there, so you create the jobs. But however, it wouldn't have been great to have the jobs here and then go down there and open up some plant and help our poor brothers down in South America. But you got to take care of home first. Ain't nobody going to help their neighbor at the expense of their kids starving. It's a divine principle, the law of one. So let's just say, based on the Democrat watch, they oppose anything dealing with the immigration problem. Seem like they oppose it. Now, being fair, it is inhumane to divide families, and it is. You got to be a cold-blooded person to turn away the cry of the poor. However, the poor in America has been turned away a long time ago, Democrats. You still haven't not created the jobs. You still have not dealt with the drug problem that you know is going to destroy the African American community if you don't deal with it. No solutions, just Trump's a racist. That's all we get from you. Once he pointed to the wall, Obama pointed to building a wall. George Clinton did, to stop the drugs. It's not about stopping the immigration. We got to have a system, a whole nother set of system to deal with that. But for the drug part, man, it sounds like a solution to me. All you got to do is go on Facebook and look at the clip, and you'll see him scale the walls, man. It ain't no big deal, dog. The drug's still going to come. So to turn your head from that and act like it ain't no big deal. I think Don Lemon made a statement about it. Like, prove it. I'm like, prove it. I'm not sure he said exactly that, but man, there's a serious issue dealing with the drugs coming from southern border, the California, the state that got the most penitentiaries in the United States. Well, If I don't deal with the issue and the drugs keep floating, I can fill up these penitentiaries and get some free labor. Corporate prosper, government prosper, we pay for the stuff that they got in there. Man, that's insanity. When you shut down the wall, save taxpayers money. You build a wall and shut down the drugs and build taxpayers money, and then deal with the immigrant situation separate. You can't mix them all in there together. And as you're able to provide jobs for immigrants, making sure that immigration, if 150,000 come every month, and every month, and every month, and if they do get work through the under the table, however, work visa, whatever, man, that's an American that could have had a job, or a felon that could have been restored so he won't tear up the streets. You can't bless him, the new immigrant, and curse the one that made a mistake with no forgiveness or redemption, and leave them for dead. And leaving them for dead is leaving them over to the cocoa plant that has caused all that havoc in the first place. You cannot do that. That's an unjust balance. So you got to first Democrat come up with an idea of how you gonna provide real jobs. We don't want to hear you talk. Because you can say, after so many Latinos come in the country, you can say illegally, and once they become permanent, you can say, screw the black neighborhood. We don't need their vote. We got enough numbers right here. Unjust balance. You sell out the black people for the vote. That's not fair. Finish creating the jobs, I suggest, for the black communities, and restoration programs for the felons coming out of the penitentiary, as well as all communities, restoring all Americans back to their rightful place of dignity by work. Build the wall, this is just a suggestion, particularly to stop the drugs. If you don't do it, the drugs will come, and you have your system in place. Felons can't get a job, they're going to continue to sell drugs, penitentiaries be full, they continue to work for corporate, get $11 a month, when they should be getting like $2,000 or $3,000 a month for all that labor they do in the penitentiaries, man. Come on, man. Don't be drunk on power, bro. Wake up. Appreciate the work that you have done. Appreciate everything the Democrats have done. Appreciate pre-existing conditions. But you could do more. You know? I can't vote for you, man, if you ain't even talked about the wall or stopping drugs. At least talk about stopping drugs. For offense, I don't care how you do it, but it's got to be effective, man. Don't play with my kids. Don't play with my grandkids. Because then the temptation to make that rack a day selling drugs is going to always be in a black neighborhood. In every American neighborhood. It's not fair. America should seal the borders, stop the drugs, and create jobs. And as they create jobs, and Americans that have made a mistake, and they're eligible to go back in society, and you have ministered to them. And I know it's going to cut against the grain of the capitalists and the intention to use people in the penitentiary to prosper their businesses. But if you want to be fair, stop the drugs, create the jobs, restore the balance in this order. Just a suggestion. And deal with the immigrants, letting family in by family. Yep. In the poorest countries around the world, one by one. Give them education. Give them the tools they need to empower. You empower them, not enable, empower them to help themselves. I think God would look on that and bless us. Now, people here in this country, Trump said this. He said the country's full, and I'm like, who's Trump, man? What's up with this? But when I hear certain things, I'm like, well, that's true. I mean, don't demonize every word, bro. If we full, we full. Are we full? In my hood, we full. We still can't find jobs. In my hood, we full. If you work 40 years, my friend worked 40 years. Call a sciatic nerve problem, back problem, seriously in pain and injured, And guess what? No matter what, you got to be half dead to get disability. Now, you pay into the system for 40 years. And what they going to do? Without any relief, brother, you may have to go 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years to get SSD, disability, Social Security disability. And now I'm talking to the ones that paid in the system. So to my Democrats, how do you deal with that, man? How do you deal with Americans that have worked all their lives and they might need some aid because they are really injured or they really have a medical true condition and thrown on the back burner for 2.5 years, yet you are pro-immigration and someone can come over to the country, all they got to do is be pregnant or get pregnant, instant help. Is that fair to the Americans that have been working all their life? Well, then, if you want to be fair, then when there are serious diagnoses from doctors, and don't make it be where they have to be dead almost, but they are just injured. They may need temporary disability. You know? Maybe their injury wasn't on the job. Well, then make it be speedy for them. The ones that paid, you know they have you can see that they paid into the system. Why don't you come up with a strategy and a plan to help those not wait 3 and 4 and 2 years to just get any help at all? And meanwhile, while they have no help, they go down. That's why homelessness is just through the roof. Part of the reason. You make them wait, but you immediately give money to help immigrant that just got in this country if they have children. And guess what? I understand that. You do that, but don't leave the other undone. Don't let the other Americans be just jacked up, man. And you ain't got nothing to say about that. SSD should not be the way it is for people that paid into the system. And if you think we're not full, go to emergency. Full. You wait a long time. Need a special thing done. Need a kidney or a liver. Need something that is seriously pending. And see how long you have to wait. One CVS pharmacy was so full, I did a clip on it, that to get your pain meds you had to wait 7 to 8 days. Because they merged and bought into another company. That was in the Las Vegas Valley. And, man, waiting that long to get your meds because they were so full. Medical situations dealing with medical health is very serious in this country. We are overwhelmed and we don't have enough doctors. Well, why don't you do like this? Why don't you allow immigrants, I thank you for allowing them to come in from India and different places, that are in the field and people here of being a doctor, let them in and help, man. Get as many as you can. Doctors, nurses. If we don't have enough help in the medical field, then you should regulate and say we're going to let certain people come in to help the people that's already here. Now don't let Trump make you a fool. He said we're full. That's making you a fool if you're going to say, no, we're not. Well, you're rich. You live in where you live, Mr. Democrat. But guess what? Down in the hood, we waiting on our medical. Took me 10 years to get a colonoscopy, 8 years, whatever it is. And I was working, bro. Full. The man said it. And my experience, personally, was, yeah, we full. Because the doctors' lines are getting longer. Appointments to get certain things done is getting longer. And therefore, how can you, up under that kind of pressure, and with a debt of trillions of dollars, how Democrats, what's your plan to provide for 150,000 immigrants coming over every month? You turn in your head this way. We know you want to vote. We know, because we know once they become citizens, you already got the vote. You got the Latinos in your back pocket. But is that fair to the other Americans that live here? That really might need some help? That really need a job? I hope this exposes your real intention that you all about power. And please don't send your constituents down to our hood talking about, well, vote for me because I'm for you. No, y'all been talking about Trump this whole doggone time, man. Trump this. Now you're on impeachment. This, that. You ain't up there talking about how can we get them jobs that we promised them brothers down in the hood. You ain't even thinking about us. You forgot about us. You want more people to come in the country because you want to vote. I don't even think you really have the compassion. If you can't have the compassion on the hood down where we from, cuz how you going to have compassion on the people you don't even know coming from another country? You ain't even provided for the ones. They down there suffering. They getting penitentiary time. Their families destroyed. Their fathers got 20 years for crack cocaine. And you say no to the wall? Really? You say no to stop drugs? Really? You say that's racist? No, what's racist is when you don't even have a plan to deal with stopping the drugs, and my brothers is getting life in the penitentiaries and federal time where they got to do it all, never to see their families again. That's racist. To overlook it and know there's a systematic system in place where the drugs are coming over, the brothers can't get the jobs because they got the strikes, no plan is in place, and who cares? Them is just ends, right? They just, you choose. No, they were forced to sell the drugs. And you act like that ain't so. How can you lead me and you don't know that? Are you incompetent? Do you speak English, homeboy? Do you understand the times we in? Now you speak French. Okay. Well, this is just holding you accountable, bro. Where's the jobs for the hoods in the African American communities? Not to mention impoverished areas, you know, that deal with whites, that deal with Mexicans, that are citizens, that deal with Asians, that are citizens. You still haven't finished your job, but you're trying to impeach your brother that's trying to stop drugs from coming in the country by building a wall. We all got common sense and see the walls that's in place does not stop the drugs, and the brother's still getting the time to go to the penitentiaries, and they getting life, and they getting 20 years, and man, they are destroyed in that moment when that judge reads that sentence. And you could have done something about it, and you chose not to. Well, it's just a racist thing. Well, it's just a wall. We don't want no wall, brother. It's the freedom immigrant. You running on that ticket, brother. You said, let the black people perish by genocide. That is to say, the ones that made a mistake. Because no one's going to come in the hood and offer us a job. Matter of fact, our unemployment is selling cocaine that we can't grow in our neighborhoods. That's our job, right? Y'all thought so. Traitors. It's a Judas thing to not even look at the situation and act like it's such evil to deal with the borders on the southern border when California has more penitentiaries than any state in this country. You lying Democrats. And hey, bro, that's not fair, man. That's not fair. I'm speaking for the hood. So you are not even competent to represent African Americans. And we know what's going to happen when we go to the Republicans. Heck, you really ain't got no help there, because they don't talk about restoring the felons. And they ain't talking about creating jobs for none. We thought you would be the spokesman for us. Well, let me tell you the spokesman. God is our spokesman. And he say, let mercy run down and justice like a mighty stream. I thought Dr. King said that. What happened? You ain't on that now? Seems like to me, because you understand the influctuation of people coming into the country. And if we add it up, if it's millions and millions and millions, look like we've been sold out for the vote, man. As you know, if they once they become citizens, which would be your intention, you got to vote. But whatever happens to the black people, they ain't got no jobs. We too crowded now. If you can't get disability, you're on your own. We don't deal with that. We only want to give aid to people that just got here. Are you serious? And you should give aid to people that just got here, but you don't leave the other one undone. People perishing, man. 4 years to get any help. 2 to 4. And you worked all your life and paid taxes, and you've helped many immigrants in this country. My friend. Helped a lot of them. by paying into the system. Once the immigrant gets pregnant, they good to go. They going to get help. Children, you going to get help. But at disadvantage, and you guys argued about the children and everything, but did you forget that taxpayers will pay that? And guess what? I'm one and I don't mind. But if you going to do that, then you should speed up the process on disability. Yeah, you should. For those Americans that paid into the system and got a serious condition, and the judge act like it's just sitting on the desk for years and years and years. That's not an urgent situation. Well, then go back to what Trump said. You should take care of home first. You ain't got no plan, no strategy, ain't even talked about. And God help the felons. We're going to need 10,000 Nipsey Hussles. If we don't do it ourselves, there's a whole generation of people wiped out, bro, behind happened to survive and sell drugs in their community. And you already know it. You know the scourge and the curse that has come through cocaine over the southern border. You lying leader. You are lying to act like it's not. Just go on Border Patrol. Google cops. Who getting arrested? My brothers in my hood getting arrested. Where they get the dope from? They can't grow it in the backyard. And, oh, that's not an issue. Trump's a racist. And that's it. Right here. You dealing with a real one. Get real, man. I hope this gets you real. In sales, we got a thing called Get You Real. Real is it going to get, man. You said forget them. So if we go on your pan and take your attitude and your intention as a country, just keep the borders open then. No problem. We all full. Matter of fact, the penitentiaries be full and build more. 11 cents a month. And that's all they going to get. All they going to get. $11 a month. They families. That lady has left that little black lady down there with her kids is left to fend for herself. And you come through you got your nerve to come through the neighborhood campaigning, going up in churches talking about, yeah, because they this, they that, and this. Years and years and years, LA, same thing. Where are the jobs? Worse, where are the jobs for the felons? Do you have a plan for that? Worse, what are you going to do about the employment that we have in the black neighborhood called drugs, cocaine? Got a plan for that? You ain't got a plan for that. But you want more people to come into the country. And you ain't dealt with that. You ain't a good steward. You faithful over little, homie. Then to promote to more. Here's the advantage you got. Well, I can just string the blacks along because they're stupid. And yeah, just tell them, yeah, I already got them in my back pocket. And it really don't matter because I get enough immigrants in here. The black vote really don't matter. Treason. These are descendants of slaves, and their fathers built the wealth of this country through free labor. And that's how you going to reward them? Leave them down in the hood, leave them with the cocaine, and they back in the penitentiary, man? Really? That's worse than a snitch. So, you in power. I hope this word find you in the balance. And let me tell the story. There was a king in Babylon from the Bible. Look it up. Google it. And his name was Belshazzar. And the king had one night had big feast, and he brought out all the holy things and gold plates out of the sanctuary. Out of the God's house. And the king, I'm not even going to read the story. I'm just going to tell you. Find it on your own. It's in the Bible. Don't be lazy. The king, as he was drinking from the golden vessels and the things made of silver and gold, he started praising the gods of whatever gods he was praising. And then all of a sudden there was a hand that appeared on the wall and wrote on the wall. It said Tinky, Tikel, Minikel, something like that. Read it. And you know what it meant? It meant The writing on that wall was your days are numbered. And the king died that night. Judgment came instantly. It said he was found in the balance, in the scales, and wanting. In other words, brother, you ain't did your job. And because you didn't do your job and you in power, your days are numbered. Your days are numbered, Democrats, if you do not deal with the wall and deal with stopping drugs or stop drugs. I don't care how you do it. Electrocute. I don't know what you're going to do. But you're going to have to come up with a plan, man, for the drug thing. Since Trump mentioned it. Since Obama mentioned it. Since Clinton mentioned it. Your days are numbered. That is to say, with blacks, they're going to wake up through messages like this. Because you have no intention on really stopping the major at the root of the problem. You want to whitewash it and make it look good. That's wrong. Because you say you represent us. His days was numbered. The king died that night. Daniel, who they brought to interpret the writing on the wall, who was in the palace, and he was working with the government there from the previous king, and he was a prophet to them, and he interpreted it, the writing on the wall. So the man of God came and said, well, I know what it means. It means, brother, your time is up. And you think you're going to turn the tide on the Republicans and say their time is up. And you think you got the blacks hoodwinked. They ain't did nothing for us. They did a few things. Praise God for what you did, my brothers. But those are a few things. What about now? What's your plan for the drugs? What's to stop the drugs? What are your plans for the jobs? And what's your plan to restore a great majority of our inner city brothers got felons, man? What's your plan? You say you represent blacks. Where is it? It's almost like a joke. And then we had the death of Nipsey Hussle, and Crips and Bloods came together, and this brother hired felons. The writing's on the wall. So who's going to talk about it? Where are the think tanks and where are the strategies? Or, now he's dead. Oh, we ain't got to. He's gone. Let his name be gone. They don't play him on the radio stations because he didn't play him. It would have been better if the black people owned their own radio stations than to keep playing the same stuff that promotes what happened to him. Who owned the radio stations? See, that's called oppression, bro. Ain't nobody taking the black people serious. These descendants of slaves. But I come to tell you, I rose to tell you that God takes it serious. God is a God of justice. And unless you let that justice like Martin Luther King run down like a mighty stream and mercy and for the black community, brother, you ain't going nowhere, Democrats. Well, you might, because we got the mother of harlots, the mark of the beast, and the book of Revelation. You might be very well part of it. You and the Republicans. More than likely. People just love power. Sell you a pill for $1,500. But it can kill you, but you going to pay. That system blown out when the kingdom of heaven come. Because as it is in heaven, you ain't selling nothing in heaven to get rich off another human being. Which is more better, the mass or the matter, the molecules, the cells, the living matter, the living things that has life is what's important, not things that perish. Delusional to think that structures and things are more important than human life that God gave breath to. There were societies before us that perished with the using of the things. And when it was wiped out, you seen the things all destroyed. And people kill over the things. People, I'll need the money to sell you the pill for $1,500. You give me the $1,500, you get the pill, you keep your life. And then you go buy some mass thing. And these mass things helps us, give us comfort. Cars get you from A to B. Nothing wrong with us creating things. But when we put them before human life, bro, When we put power before human life, bro, when we put power to keep the vote before human life, when brothers is dying in the hood from selling drugs and going to the penitentiaries and families are destroyed and sisters crying and weeping and going to church every Sunday trying to figure out what happened, and it's systematically done by those in power that look the other way and will not stand in the gap between the dead and the living and refuse to do anything about it but put more burdens on them, more heavy burdens on them, and say you lift them with your own strength. Who is going to bear their brother's burden and fulfill the law of Christ? Who's going to come to the aid of someone that's truly disabled and they cannot get any help? And you have nothing in place, Democrats or the Republicans. Really? But I'm hard on the Democrats because you can't campaign it through my hood. Made me an independent. Bro, get it together. Because that kind of flow, ignoring, whitewashing, and like Jesus said, he said to the Pharisees, you pay tithes and you pay mint, but you pass over judgment and mercy. Judgment means to execute. Long loving kindness means to execute on something. Like King David went and got Mephibosheth. That was King Saul's grandson, crippled from his birth. But no one was left in his lineage. They've been wiped out. But he said, bring him here. And the guy was all scared when he came to King David's table. And he said, man, I'm but a dead dog. He said, no, you're not, bro. Lift your head up. You're going to eat at my table all your life, and I'm going to restore lands back to you that your father had. Man, look here. Restoration comes with loving kindness and tender mercy. The blacks got a bad rap, man, in the inner city with the cocaine, bro. English. You feel me? And because they did, where's the loving kindness and tender mercies? Where's your strategies? If you a leader, you say you a leader? What? God is leading you? Bull crap. God ain't leading you. Your flesh is leading you. Your ambition, your selfish ambition is leading you. Therefore, you are unfit to lead anybody and point anywhere to anything. If you don't execute for the oppressed when they crying out in the gate. In the gate in Jerusalem, that was where they had a gate, where the wall was, crying out. Where the battle cry, once you made a big deal out of the wall and made it look like it wasn't, and now you reveal, you expose. No, it was a big deal. It's a state of emergency for African Americans. And you played it all down, now you exposed. You don't give a damn about black neighborhoods. You do when you get a good feeling, and then once you get in power, it all goes away. I guess show me, bro. Show my hood you care. Come down there. Bill Clinton came down in L.A. Came down to South Central, Manchester and Vermont. Any of y'all down from L.A., y'all know he was there. I was there. I lived around the corner in 86 in Vermont. Guess what? We was promised a lot of things, and there was money that moved in there, and jobs were created, bro. But that's gone, homie. And y'all didn't continue in that. You talking the talk, and you're gonna say, "Well, the Republicans are stopping us." Well, impeaching Trump ain't gonna help to get the jobs, bro. Maybe it will if you think so. But I'm saying, why don't you be talking to the homie about creating jobs versus wasting our time? Nancy Pelosi, you up here talking about he's an evil man. You should be saying, well, wait a minute. We got felons. We got black neighborhoods. We got Mexican neighborhoods. We got white neighborhoods that where the poor are and they don't have nothing. You wasting all your energy, and if you don't impeach him, you wasted all your energy, man, to show he's wrong and you're right, so we get the vote. But you didn't do anything for us. In the hood, fool. I didn't mean to say fool, but you just in the hood. You ain't did nothing for us. Just talk. And the shift has came with talking is over. Nipsey Hussle put that one to death. He did something about the situation in the hood. Thank God for the councilwoman that wanted him mentioned in Congress. But now follow pursuit. We in too deep. We in way too deep, man. Essays and all. Restore them all. Restore jobs. Get rid of the drugs. Help the Americans that's here and work on a plan and strategy to help the poor no matter what countries they come from. And since the cry at our gate is come from South America, don't you shut your ears out to that either. You deal with it. Come up with a plan that'll work, so you don't injure your fellow Americans. Please. And if I ain't talking to you, let the millennials think and do this. Millennials, man, take the responsibility and the law of stewardship and the law of sowing and reaping and the law of consequences, knowing if you do a good work for the poor people and you restore felons and you create jobs and you get rid of the drugs and you do what you got to do, millennials, you restore your generation. God will work with you. The story of Nehemiah, they had tore down the city. The inner city was torn down. The city was torn down in Jerusalem, and they were in, I think, at that time in Syria. They had went into captivity because they did not deal with their brother correctly. They began to capitalize off their brother, probably sell him everything they could at high interest, because they wasn't allowed gay people back then. They wasn't allowed abortion back then. The issue was oppression of their own. And the bottom line is they was given a letter and sent back to Jerusalem to restore that city. The first thing they did was build a wall so that no one could come in and invade the city. Drugs have invaded my hood in L.A., homeboy. And drugs have invaded Detroit, Chicago, Texas, inner cities, Midwest, dirty, East Coast, Detroit. Drugs have invaded. Wall is biblical, man. Or secure the borders. Create the jobs. If you truly for the black people and all people that made a mistake and you believe in forgiveness and redemption and restoration, Selah, just consider what I say. God bless you. Jeremiah 23 in hoods. I'm out.